joining. Yes, Patti looks a little different tonight. Well, first of all, welcome to Real Lost State with Patti and Kate. I'm gonna go like this. Woo, woo, woo.
I'm Patti today, though. That's
you are.
Cool.
Yeah, he likes that. So anyway, so we had asked Troy to come on, and honestly, there's not enough room for the three of us. And Patti and I had to fight for who got to interview Troy. So, anyways, I won. So the reason why I asked Troy to be on this is because he has a really interesting story. And the story is, so I want you to pay attention to this, and I want you to share the story out because there's so much negativity going on right now. And like the moral of the story is finding, finding beautiful things and finding great opportunities, amidst a pandemic, right? So anyways, hi Troy.
Hi.
How you doing tonight?
I'm fantastic.
He is fantastic. So
I'm always happy.
Yeah, he is always happy. So let me just tell you a little bit about Troy. So we met like when you started looking for houses, I think when you were in college.
Yeah.
So college student calls and there's a couple fixer-uppers and he's like, yeah, I want to look at them. So I'm like, all right, sure. He's a year older than my son, right? And so they look alike except he's a redhead and my son's a brunette. But so I'm like, sure. And so we're looking at these houses and his mom and dad come and they're supportive and they're going to help him with it if it works out. And I'm like, do you commute? And he's like, no. I'm at school and blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, whatever, right? So he did not buy a house then. However, this process continued after he graduated. And one thing I could tell you about his college experience that I found so remarkable. So I went to his wedding and he's a bold realtor. I don't know, I forgot to tell you that part.
Yeah.
So he's a bold realtor. He works with us.
Oh, yeah.
And yes, now he is, and that's part of the story. But when he talks about people, like his friends, his sphere of influence, everybody is his best friend. And he says, yeah, Johnny's my best friend. And then he goes, I have a best friend and yeah, my best friend, Ed wants this. And so everybody's a best friend. And I finally said to him one day, I'm like, Troy, not everybody can be your best friend. He's like, no, they're all my best friends.
It's a level.
It's like, yeah, he says it's a level, right? So it's a level. Like that's and I love that. That's how good of a friend they are. And so recently, was it when did you get married?
September.
So I was like a party crasher, a wedding crasher. So he got married in September, and just to see his friends there and the way they danced and the way they hung out and stuff, I said they truly are best friends. And you're right.
I have a lot of best friends.
Yeah, and
lucky.
He is lucky, and they were so cool, and I felt so lucky to be able to experience that. And he's got, of course, a bomb wife also. She's adorable and amazing. So Caroline, I love you. We want you to be a bold realtor too. Just saying. Anyway, so back to the story. So Troy became a realtor. So when we're looking at houses for the one that he bought, which was a 2-family in Mattapoisett, how smart was that? I said, Troy, you have got to take this class.
Yep.
And I'm like, I was already, so I bribed him. I'm like, I will give you your part of this commission on your thing if you do it. And then I was working with his aunt. I'm like, I will give you your aunt, right? By the way, it was buying $1 million property. I'm like, I will give you your aunt, just get your license, because he just was so good. You were that good. And when he came on, the thing was he would do anything to help anybody. And he's super strong, right? So we have the move outs, and part of our bold benefits to our buyers and sellers is that we will move you out. We will do the bold bus. And so literally I saw him pick up like a couch with one arm and I shit you not. And I was like, oh my God. So anyways, he painted properties when we needed a FHA paint job. I mean, he was so awesome. And then, however, his community mayorship, right? His community pull started pulling on him. And what did you do? Did you do EMT?
Yeah, I started that and I completed the course to try and pursue to be a local firefighter.
And are you a firefighter yet?
I am for the town of Mattapoisett.
So he became a EMT, and then he pushed that up into be a firefighter for the town of Mattapoisett.
I'm on the on-call department. So I've been doing that since a little before December, and we got halfway through the academy and COVID canceled it. So we're actually going back again at the end of the month.
So anyway, so he's embedded in this community. I mean, he was embedded before. When did you say?
Yeah, I'm a townie.
Yeah, he's a townie. Yeah, he's a young townie. Yes, and you had a birthday yesterday.
Yes.
How old are you?
26.
26. Oh, I said on my little video, my little promo that you're 25. She's 26. Just turned 26 yesterday. Okay, so this is a 26-year-old story. right? So by now, you've almost been looking at houses for 10 years.
Yeah.
Just about, right? Yeah. So anyway, so that's not the part I want to talk about. But I just, for those of you who are in the business, right? And this is the thing, like, was this a master plan?
No.
How did it all kind of come about?
I don't really know. I take every day one step at a time. So real estate fell into place because of you. And then I wanted to help the community more, and that led to the on-call fire department.
Yeah.
And then everything that happened with COVID has now led to my new venture.
Yeah, so that's what we're really going to talk about, the co-venture. But what I want to point out here, which is like the thing that I think is significant, is he has a heart of service, right? Everything decision he makes is from this position of helping someone. And literally, like anything, like, Troy, can you climb up on the roof and do? Yeah, sure. Can you do? Sure. Like, just he has a heart of service, and again, with his best friends and the people, like, they're like, to know Troy is definitely to love Troy, right? Anyway, that's all to set up what has happened in COVID. And why don't you tell the story about how this came about?
Well, I guess a lot of people may know, but a lot may not. And
well, 25,000 of you know. I know that.
Essentially, my uncle's a lobsterman by trade. That's how he makes his living. And when in the beginning of COVID, they were still lobstering every day. Yeah. And they happened to be out lobstering on the day that the governor put the ban and shut down all restaurants. So, as most of you know,
So stop for one sec. So that means that these guys who make their living out on lobster boats,
selling to restaurants,
right? Selling to directly to restaurants. They go out, they get their catch, right? That's their livelihood. They come back and they sell them.
Correct.
And like the light switch went off.
They were out. They came back in. They obviously weren't on their phones all day, and they were told, "Sorry, we can't buy these."
So in the course of one day, like, their lives completely changed.
Yeah.
All right. So then what happened?
So they had over 500 lobsters on their boat, and if people don't know, like, they just can't live out on
lobsters
a boat.
Can't live.
They live in the ocean. They can't just sit on a boat all day. So they were kind of saying, well, what are we going to do with 500 lobsters? So
this is one boat.
Yeah, it's just one boat.
500 lobsters.
And my uncle and I were just talking, like, well, he's kind of like myself. We have a lot of best friends. And I said, well, why don't we just put them on Facebook and see, if anyone would be interested. So we made a little Facebook post and shared it. And in the course of like 3 days, I think it shared like 175 times.
Yeah.
So we were
did that feel big at the time?
Yeah, like that was like, oh my gosh, we weren't sure if we'd be able to sell 500 lobsters. And then all of a sudden we're getting messages from people in Connecticut that friends' friends shared our post and they would love to buy some.
Right. So this was when COVID, so the state of emergency. So we're talking 2 months.
Yeah, 2 months ago.
2 months. Okay. Now he's going to take you through some of the trials and tribulations here, but just I'm going to help my uncle out. Let's start this thing on Facebook. Right now, his Facebook page has 14,975 likes or followers. So I need you guys to get him to 15K tonight, number one. But how did that happen? Like, how did you guys sharing a couple of things? Now I have to tell you, like, I got in line. So we all did. Like, I mean, it was like the parades that go on now, like, you got in line, like, I can't even explain the experience of this all, right? So first of all, I'm in line and there's a woman who's a co-instructor. She lives in Boston. She's in front of me and she's beeping and she's going around. She's afraid you're going to run out. And so she's like, what do you want me to get for you? And like, we have this great conversation and like all this like old home week. And so you pull up to the boats and like, there's these gorgeous, again, smiling hats, like happy people helping, working this all out. And I think there were 3 boats that day. Yeah. It was a Mother's Day. I went on Mother's Day. And it was like, oh my God, this is such a magical experience. And I think I said that to you. I think I probably sent you a text off. I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, this magical moment, that is something special. So now continue with the story.
Yeah, the original post got shared a lot. And we were, like I said, getting messages from people we had never heard of before. And at that point we said, okay, well, maybe we should find a way to move this off of our own personal Facebook pages, and create a group where people can get updates.
Yep.
So we created a group that we called South Coast Direct Source Seafood, and that we figured that name is kind of self-explanatory. We're on the South Coast, and it's a way to get directly sourced seafood. So, there's no wait right off the boat. And so we created a page, and the first week we had maybe 500 or 600 members, and we didn't know what to expect. So they had already sold those lobsters from the week before, and I went fishing with a very good friend of mine, Mike Ashey, a Mattapoisett local, and my uncle went out with his boat with his, his boss, And an hour before we were supposed to be in, I got a text that said, I hope you guys did well today. There's 45 cars here waiting.
Yeah, no.
And that was to us like the light bulb moment. We're like, wow, we have not only a way to sell lobsters, but a community that is ready to support. And that's really, that was day one.
Yeah.
So at this point, no lobster boats are even in the water except these two, because everyone said, like, we have no way to sell. We're not going to work for the next few months. Like,
Right.
they don't qualify for unemployment. They, they're self-employed, so
Yeah.
they're just going to take the boats out and not lose any money. And so the page had 500 people. We sold out of lobsters in like an hour and a half. And at that point, it was a first come, first served system. So we had some people waiting 2 to 3 hours just because they really wanted to support the fishermen, which was awesome.
Yes. And that was actually why I came, because I was going to support you.
People just really wanted to support their friends and,
But it was
local
just
guys.
so cool, like just to be in that line and just to see the people and just to see those guys working. And Caroline, his wife, right?
Yeah.
She's like this teeny little mite of a woman, and she's got like these lobsters, and she's pulling them in, and she's like, So anyways, it was just so cool.
Yeah.
And
So that was week one, and we only had 500 members. So I was like, okay, probably with people sharing these posts, like more people are going to find out about us. And we thought if this page I remember my uncle saying, if the page gets to 3,000 people, this could potentially outlast COVID, because at 500, we were like, okay, these people are here to support us. We said, if we got 2,000 to 3,000, if we got 10% of those people that liked lobster, we could do this once a week. And so halfway through the week, the page started getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And it was my uncle that said, we're going to have to call some of the guys into the water. So actually we called 3 other boat captains and we said, put your boat in the water and we'll get your lobsters sold.
So we'll sell your lobsters.
Yeah, and everyone was kind of skeptical, but a few of them had stopped down the week before.
Right,
And
because
so,
again, this was an experience. This wasn't
Yeah,
just
this
like
was
getting
just
in line.
like-
This was like so cool. I mean, I went out and bought a lobster pan, like, because I had to get my brothers. I had to trade them to use this pan. I had to trade some of those lobsters I got. All right, so back to you.
So that was week one, and then so week two, we figured, let's get 5 boats. And so it was the same thing. We just, all 5 guys were out fishing on the same day. There was actually 2,400 members on the page the second week. And we gave a time that people would come in.
2,400?
Yeah, 2,400 members.
So second week. So first week they were 500.
500.
Second week, 2,400.
Yeah,
Okay,
so we were just like, okay, we should be able to sell out 5 boats.
Yeah.
And same thing, an hour before anyone was supposed to be in, there was already a line. People were waiting 3 hours, and they said, this is a fun thing to do during COVID, and they started waiting.
They did, yeah.
And we had 2,400 members.
And this was in Fairhaven, so
Yeah.
I think the police were cooperative. People, like, there was
Yeah.
like different ways that you had to go on the roads, and there was like a whole entire
Yeah.
thing going on.
And this was truly a first come, first serve.
Yes.
We were just saying, show up and we'll sell you lobsters. We
Until
didn't
we ran
know
out, yeah.
what to do. And so it took about 3 hours, and it was really good fishing that time of year. And I think it was 2,500 lobsters we sold.
Wow, that's incredible.
And yeah, it seemed
that's
incredible
incredible.
at the time.
So people who would have no job, they would have no source of income. Their boats would be out of the water.
Yeah.
Right now, they're selling 2,500 lobsters in 3 hours.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
It was just like, so yeah, 5 captains. They each had 1 other guy. So we kept, I think, at that week was 12 people that wouldn't be working. That the community really just supported and said, we love seafood.
Well, and, yeah. By the way, like, you're getting lobster right off the boat. Like, when you go home and you're cooking that lobster, it's like the best lobster you've ever had.
Yeah.
You
So that was week 2, and then week 3 we had 6,000 members. So we had another big growth, and we tried to do the same thing, and there was a 3-mile car line.
You have 3 miles. Oh my
On
God.
week 3, we had a 3-mile car line. It went over the New Bedford Bridge. The town of Fairhaven graciously did a free police detail, and it was honestly a little bit of a nightmare because we didn't expect it. This was just a very organic community growth with a lot of support from the area, and people figured, let's go support the fishermen, get a fresh seafood. It will taste great. It's a great price. Really can't beat it. And that was the point that we realized, like, what did we just start? The first few weeks were like, this.
What did you go to college for?
Environmental science.
Environmental science. By the way, show everybody your mask. We have our masks.
I got this given to me. It's a lobster mask, and it has little newspaper articles in it, and they just thought it was great because we've had some really good newspaper articles written about us from the community papers as well as the area.
Just show everybody. So this is Troy. Ready? He said to me when he walked in, he goes, "Do we have our masks?" And here's my mask, and here's his. So instead of using the mask, we swabbed up and we got ourselves purified here for you.
So
anyway, back to that. So that was week 3.
3 weeks in.
So now I want you to talk about some of the systems that you've put into place.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the thing. So their idea was way better than they ever could imagine.
Yeah, this
was like
we were just trying
knocking
to
your socks off.
make a little bit of money for some of these guys, and did not expect really the support from the community.
Yeah,
It's what it came to. This is a great area to live in. It's super community based, but there's not that many people.
Right, but think about this though. Think about, and this is what I like, and this has always been my mantra, has it not? Like, serve your community, and then the rest will follow.
Yeah.
Right, and be part of your community, and you never have to look for a cold lead anywhere. Right, you never have to go talk to a stranger about selling real estate. No. Right, because we're embedded in their community.
Yeah.
And I just think it's the greatest example. Okay, so now for you, my business friends out there, tell us about some of the systems you had to put into place.
Yeah, we had to then figure out a way to organize a lot of people, because the third week we had 7,500 people. After that day, we were over 10,000. And when that happened, well, first, the town of Fairhaven, super helpful. The police were awesome. Timothy Cox, who's the harbor master, has been nothing but supportive of this. And without him, we probably wouldn't be able to do it in general, because he's the guy kind of in charge of everything down there. And we all met after, all the fishermen, me, my wife, the police, and the harbor master, and we said, how can we make this more efficient so that we're not using up the police officer as a resource? I mean, they were very happy to help us that day, but they can't always have 5 police officers just down there, helping us out. So I said, well, could we avoid a police detail if we can do pickup windows? Like if I give everyone a 5 to 10 minute window that they show up, that way it's not a first come, first serve. Do we need any help? And they said, of course not. If you can figure that out, that would be awesome. Yeah. So then, luckily, one of my best friends, he was in my wedding.
Oh, is that Augie?
No.
Okay, which one?
Another friend, Mike. His name's Michael DeRocher. He was in my wedding.
Oh,
so
yes.
He can make a best friend. He's on that cut.
Yeah,
he does web design and IT work. So he said, no problem. I'll do it, for free, just to help you guys out. I'll make a site.
And it's seafood-direct.com?
Yeah, so we just named it Seafood Direct, Yeah. And he made a pretty simple website for us, but what it does is it allows us to update how many lobsters or crabs or scallops we have available. And it only sells that exact amount. So basically, a boat, it's as simple as this now. A boat is on their way in. Yeah. They're an hour and a half out in the ocean. Yeah. They say, hey, Troy, I have 435 lobsters today. I go on the website, I update 435, I make a post, and only 435 lobsters can be sold. So now, only 50 to 60 people place an order. Yeah. They then get an email with pickup instructions and a window to show up in, and there's never more than 5 cars there at a time.
Wow. And it's working?
We never have, the average wait went from, weeks 1 and 2, an hour and a half, down to 2 minutes.
Wow. Okay, so now, back to the business part of this, right? So this is nail it till you can scale it, right? So they've nailed it. You guys have nailed your business model.
Yeah, for now.
Right?
Yep.
So for now, right? And so now, what has happened these last few weeks?
So I get a lot of messages since the beginning of this from other fishermen in the area and all over the state that have been asking for help on how to do this and, how to make it work in their area. So I think it was the 3rd week I helped a kid from the Cape. He got this started, and basically he knew what we were doing, and he reached out to me and said, is there anything that you could help? Like, where'd you make mistakes? And, I'd call him and we'd talk about it. And I said, avoid this, try this, and it's different in every harbor because every dock's different. Yeah. But I was able to help him, avoid some of the real problems we had. Yeah. And then recently, over the last 2 weeks, a group of fishermen on the South Shore area reached out to me. Marshfield. So
okay, so I'm going to do a shout out to the South Shore Realtors on this, right? So this is happening now in your neighborhood as well. So I'm going to tag you in this, and I'm going to share this over to you, because this is a very cool thing for you guys to share to your people so that you guys can have the same kind of support that we've had, and energy, and just, again, good things happening in this environment, in this time.
And so really a few of them reached out to me, and they were actually the ones that knew a few of the fishermen that I help out here. Yep. And the guys here said, yep, they're great guys. Like, if you help them out, they're not going to do the wrong thing. And that's always a worry in the seafood industry, because it's so regulated that, we didn't want to help anyone that might be cutting some corners and breaking laws that could make everyone look bad. And, it wouldn't be our fault, but, it's when you have a watchful eye on you, you want to make sure that, no one ruins it for everyone. So a few of them reached out to me and said, how can we make this happen on the South Shore?
Yep.
Because we have the area, there's a lot of people, but we don't know how to do the Facebook. We don't have a website.
Yep.
So actually just on Friday night, I helped them create their own Facebook group, which I'm going to help them run.
Yeah.
And we're going to make a page on my website for them. And
Very cool.
starting on Tuesday, right out of Green Harbor, which is in Marshfield, we'll have fresh lobsters and crabs a few days a week. And it's starting with 2 boats, but it's probably going to be 5 next week.
That is so cool. So now your little idea about you and your uncle helping his uncle out, right, has now led to South Coast, Cape Cod, South Shore, all these lobstermen who would have been sidelined,
Yeah.
right? Significant loss, right? I mean, it's
Yeah,
like this is huge. So now they have a way to do this. Now, do you think that this is going to last after the restaurant's open?
We think so. At first, we weren't sure if it would be possible. And now what we found is that I get so many messages every day. And it's usually the day after pickup where someone says, you know, I've never had lobster that tastes that good. I've never had a scallop that tasted that way, because we also have some scallop boats that are, you know, never frozen, never soaked, anything. And I personally don't eat seafood, so I wouldn't know.
Are you
But,
serious?
yeah, I don't eat. I've never had a bite of lobster in my life.
Are you
Yeah.
serious?
But I get
Oh my
these
gosh.
messages where people say, if I have the ability to keep buying directly from these guys that are putting in the work, I
Yeah.
never want to buy it another way. And people are starting to realize, because we do other posts on the page that aren't just selling, you know, maybe
Yes, we
videos
do.
on a tough
Oh my
day,
God, beautiful,
sunrise.
beautiful videos.
Yeah.
Like you have got to. So listen, when this ends, I'm gonna start sharing this out, because you guys have got to let people know. We have to get them to 25,000. Did I say 25,000 or 15,000?
15,000.
15,000. Well, wouldn't that be
25,000 would be great.
yes, but 15,000 in
Yeah.
2 months. Like I just can't even believe it, you know. And
Yeah.
so now we have a new way of doing things,
Yeah.
and
It's
you know,
awesome.
simple systems, and you know, and I just think it's so cool. You know,
Right? We
now, and he's
love
got
that.
T-shirts. Show them
Yeah,
your
we-
T-shirt.
we
Yeah,
have
zoom in so they can
T-shirts.
see your T-shirt.
I don't know how to get on there.
Yeah.
Which way am I going?
There you go.
Yeah.
Right.
So
So
we
this
made
is
T-shirts.
they made T-shirts,
And that
yes.
helped pay, you know, for a lot of the internet stuff. The website was built for free, and that's one thing we didn't realize. By the 3rd week, we were crashing the system that was in place because it couldn't handle the amount of traffic we were getting every day.
Oh my gosh.
So we had to upgrade, and so
Everything.
I had a friend that knows someone that made shirts and said, "Oh, they'll make you shirts," and basically we sold
He
shirts.
has a
and
best
all
friend
the
that
money.
makes shirts. No, he might not have
A
been
best friend's friend makes shirts.
I
So
gotcha,
you know,
yeah, yeah. So that's so
we've been
cool.
lucky.
But this is what I love about this is that you guys all could have just sat at home, you know, drinking heavily, you know, just being like, oh my God, everything's horrendous. Like, you know, everybody's losing their shirts and people are, instead you were a bright light during this whole thing. And you are a bright light.
Yeah,
And
we
it's going to
lucked
be
out.
in that perpetuity, you know, and I think that that's something that is just so cool. So my business takeaway, I'm going to do my business takeaways and my personal takeaways, and then you're going to give me a couple of your takeaways on this. So the business takeaway is truly think about how it is that you can help people, you know, and I'm going to look at my notes here, see if there's anything else I had here on here. No, I think that's about it. So think about how you can help people, and isn't it much easier? Like, isn't it from when you're trying to start your real estate business to now? Like,
Yeah.
is it like much easier? Like, just because now you've got like the know, like, trust, want to work with you, want to be with you, the attraction piece of it.
Yeah.
You know, but it comes from a place of sincerity. You know,
Yeah.
and so that's really cool. And then on a personal note, like, do you know how many people's days you have made? Like
That was the unexpected
Like, beautiful
outcome,
thing.
especially in the beginning. We started this right
Oh my
when
gosh, you
people
have to
weren't
go
allowed
back-
to leave their houses.
You have to
know?
go back and read them. You have to go back and read all of the notes that people wrote and the messages that they shared with them. And it's funny because I'm from a family of 7, right? And we all kind of have different family friends, you know, or we're all in different friend
Yeah.
groups. And it was like my sister reaching out to me, and my brother, and my this, and we're all talking about it. And of course, you know, we're all like trying to get bragging rights on how we know them. You know, it was fun.
It's definitely unexpected.
But even like Cameron, who's the woman who was in front, right, saying that she's got to grab me lobsters, and she's going through and she's like, I'll get them for you, and I've only met her like twice.
Yeah.
I met her twice, and we're both instructors, you know. But it's just like we've stayed in touch.
Yeah.
You know, she invited us over to a bonfire last night. You know, like It's just a really cool thing that's happening in community. And what I'm going to urge you all to do is I'm going to urge you to look for these kind of nuggets, right? And let the sun shine in on that from that. Oh, Patty's on. She just said you rock. We're going to give her a like. We miss you, Patty. We miss you. We wish you were here with us, but we understand because it's just about enough room for both of us. Okay, so what have been your takeaways from all of this that you want to share with people?
My main takeaway with, I guess, starting this, which is now a business, is just the power of an organic growth.
Power of organic growth. I love it.
Like, especially like it's, I guess, in the same way as real estate, you want people to know what you're doing, but you won't want to like make it an overbearing like push towards them. You know, like especially like real estate, similar to the seafood, where you're providing a community service in which you can help one person, or you can help a lot of people. And I think the biggest factor on the growth with this whole page was just that it was coming from a good place. There was no ill intentions. It wasn't to make $1 million.
But most of the time,
It's
in
just
business, there's not. Like in real estate, like I always say, like I feel like we're in the people business, not even in the house business.
So,
and I will tell you this: I know this from the people who Troy has helped me with, like the Sylvias, Ellen and David Sylvia, and the Brattons. Right? They remember Troy more than they remember me. They're like, "Oh, that Troy, he was so helpful. Oh, Troy." Did you like did I share my commission with Troy? Did you take care of Troy? I'm like, I hope so. I hope he's okay. All right.
But I don't know. It's just we started this just to be helpful and try to help a few guys.
But think about it, it looks like that. So a couple things would have stopped somebody else. Like when you guys had the 3-hour wait and the people who trying to figure out how to make people not be so mad, right? So and they weren't even that mad, I don't think.
No,
like
obviously,
so,
it was
but Troy's messages were like, just like we're gonna try to figure this out. Just bear with us. Thank you so much. And then it's like, all right, so we'll figure out a system where they can reserve them, right? And they can set up times. Like other people would have gone away. Like, thankfully, you have all those best friends that can help you. But it's like, boom, they figured it out and they were nimble. Right. So anyway, I just think it's a great story. What do you think's gonna be next with it?
Household deliveries.
Really?
Yeah.
Household deliveries. Or do you deliver to Rochester?
Well, everywhere.
Everywhere.
It's a plan that's in the works, where instead of it going through a few different hands to get your seafood in the store, we're looking and finding a way to make it as simple as I pick it up at the dock and I drive it to your house. Older people that maybe can't go or don't want to get out of their house. And I'm not talking just, during COVID. I mean, some people, they live a busy life and they work from home and they have a schedule and they can't find time to drive 30 minutes out of their way and then back to their house,
And so think about this. So for my daughter, Martha, who doesn't have a job, she could be a driver. For all these kids that are home, right? All these college kids that are home that don't know what they're doing, they could now have a purpose. And it would be like a win-win. Never mind your friends. It's like, so there's all these people who could do the driving and then the person who sets up the driving, and it's such a cool thing.
Yeah, it seems at this point like we're here to stay and it might become the new normal.
I think I need a t-shirt, by the way. I haven't ordered one yet.
I can definitely get a
t-shirt. Can you set me up on a t-shirt? All right, I'm going to check to see if you guys have any friends. So you also solved a problem that people didn't know they had, which was as inability to get super fresh seafood.
Yeah.
Right? We didn't even know that they didn't have super fresh seafood until you tasted it.
Yeah.
So Patty, good point. He solved a problem that we didn't even know we had. Right? And yet when it was solved, it's now like people need it now. Yeah. Right? And I'm going to give you a like on that one. Good job. And Ed Pedro says, how about Marlboro, haha. Well, you know what?
When we get to the point that there's deliveries, we're going to find a way to get it everywhere. I have people contacting and say, can you ship us lobsters to California? There's people, from, we have one member, I forget where it was from, somewhere in Asia, and they were contacting us just saying they saw our page. It just popped up on their Facebook, and
yeah.
And
that's why. Can I tell you why? Because all right, so Mark Zuckerberg says, and then we'll wrap this up because it's been we're hitting our time out. So Mark Zuckerberg said, we want groups. Groups start community. We want groups, and everyone's like, boo, groups, right? We want to be able to put stuff. We want to be able to have just our profile in people's feeds now, and they're like, that doesn't happen anymore. It's the community groups that Mark Zuckerberg loves. And again, back to that 15,000. Okay, so Ed. Patty, whoever else comes on this in the replay, you've got to share this out. We got to get them to 15,000, right? That would be super cool because we'd be like, that'd be a bold number, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
All right, friends. Thank you so much. Do you have any last parting words for them?
I don't. Thank you for letting me talk about
Thank
this.
you.
It's been fun.
Yeah, and you guys, you know what? I can just tell you that everybody is so amazingly impressed with this, right? With the whole entire system, right? That's the other thing. Like they're not like Troy's system or the Durr system. Like they're not like that. It's like this thing that like this community thing. Like you guys are so humble, you know, and I know that probably talking about this and the success is kind of a little awkward, right? People love it. And I would love for you guys to push them to the next level because this kind of thing will help on those days that you think that there's no shining stars. There's a shining red star in the sky and it's called a lobster. Damn it. All right. We'll see you next week when Patty's back. Thanks so much. And thanks for joining us, Patty and Ed. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.